Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're jumping down into the world of XRP, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what we would expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, do hit that like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you have not yet joined us in Discord, you're missing a trick. It's the first place we go to notify you of the ins and the outs of everything that is going on in the crypto space. So why not check it out? Linked in the description below. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. Okay, let's make a start. XRP paired up with USDT on the hourly chart and Binance is the data source. Now, following us on from the video that we did the other day, we can see that we did come back up into our supply zone. Okay, so we had this scoped out as maybe a move to the demand zone before we move up to the supply zone, and actually it's a little on the shorter side. So if we actually go ahead and map these in, I think we've got a little bit more to the upside. This means that we might break past this supply zone. I'm going to walk you through what these waves look like so that we can be better prepared. Now, if you're not familiar with what 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗕 theory is, then do join us down in Discord. There's a PDF, it's 181 pages down in the Discord server, and over this weekend I'm planning to finish off the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗕 theory course and get that ready for everyone to kind of watch the video content on it. So if you're not into reading a PDF document to try to get it, then obviously there's going to be a 20-part 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗕 theory course that I'm going to be distributing very, very soon. So Discord will obviously get access to that. So do join the Discord server. You'll understand what's going on a little bit more with that. Okay, but some of this might be a little bit confusing. Essentially, we're going to be tracking 3 and 5 wave structures here. And what we're going to be doing is just taking a look at where we think these next set of waves are going. So let's first of all delete this macro view, okay, and focusing on some subwave counting, okay. So if we actually come in here, we can see that we have 3 wave structure just coming to the downside there, nothing unusual at that point, and we move up here. Now this move to the upside is pretty much one clean kind of gradual move to the upside. There's a couple bits of red in there, as in a couple of moves to the downside, but nothing too major. People might want to kind of focus in on maybe a 15-minute chart here and see, okay, well, is there any kind of like 5-wave structures and things like that? Off the bat, it doesn't look like that's the case. It just looks like just one movement, which basically means that that's going to be a single wave, meaning this could be a wave B, and we've still got to come up into a wave C. So let's go ahead and bring this in on the fibs. Okay, we're going to use a Fibonacci retracement tool to measure the distances, and we're basically going to come in here, and I'm going to have to just quickly alter those out and just drop that one up there. Okay, so basically this would show us about 39.79 cent, which would actually break out of this supply zone area. Okay, now obviously it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to hit the 1-to-1 ratio. That's just typically where you do end up seeing these things go. And a double top is at 88.2% fib level. So we could actually just see a 39.63 cent range, double top, and then rejection. Just be aware that rejection in this supply zone is highly likely, but a revisit to it is something that I do expect to see. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove the fibs there for a second. We want to talk about subwave counts, okay? So if we actually come back in here for a second, just with some zoom in, we can see that we have this movement from this upside here. So we can kind of see that we go up, down, and up. So we have 3 waves inside there. Okay, so we have the A wave of this C wave done. We then come down here, and it looks like we probably have a little bit of a move to the downside before we can move on up, okay? And then actually it looks like we're probably not quite going to make that entire journey in a single movement, so we're probably going to be moving around like this, coming up, and then probably doing another kind of short corrective move, and then finally coming up into that range. So all in all, it would look something like an A, B and C movement, probably more like that, to get us in here. It probably will be a double top. It's really hard to say exactly what's going to happen that far in advance outside of the the next kind of couple of moves, but on the scale of things, it does look like we have to kind of move up into that supply range. And if I go ahead and remove all of those subwave counts, then you get an idea of what they look like. It would to me look like, if I bring this down, that we've kind of gone something like this. So we kind of move on up either here, and we've got to come up like that, okay? Or alternatively, we could look at it like this as well. And this one would actually mean that we'd have a much bigger breakout up into this slightly larger demand zone at the top here. So going to keep that eye on that. There's going to be keeping an eye on those subwave counts to see how that goes. But I do think we have to move down just ever so slightly before we can then break out potentially out of this supply zone. Watching out for that double top, and the double top coming in right here at 39.62. So if we can get past those things, then things for XRP are going to look pretty reasonable, right? Now, if I come back down here, I want to just kind of take a look at this substructure for a second here. So let's see what's kind of gone on. We kind of have this movement here, don't we? So we move down, and okay. I think we are going to be looking at this little movement, nothing too major, probably down to about 38.56. Okay, so 38.56 right in here. Let me just draw a little line right there and then just remove that. So 38.56, this first white line, which I'll make yellow right there. That's going to be an area that I'm thinking we might just have to come down into before moving on up. And we have our white line here as invalidation. Okay, so if we can't really cross this line, I'll make this red because we want that to be kind of highlighted as an area that we don't want to cross. It wouldn't actually create a huge invalidation, but it would just mean that we have to come down a little bit deeper before we move up. And that means that this is highly likely then to become resistance to the point where we can't push through it. And so we'll keep that in mind. In that scenario, that would be something that would look like this. Sorry, and we move down a little bit deeper. So just keep an eye on that. 38.43. If we lose that, then I think there's a high probability this is going to remain our major resistance lines. So yeah, just kind of keep an eye on that. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our stocks. Our stochastic RSI has got a little bit of progression to the upside here on the hourly, then it's got progression to the downside. So it's not inclusive or conclusive of negativity or anything like that. That's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. In fact, let's actually bring this up a little bit here and talk about the 4 hour. The 4 hour is almost oversold, so definitely have that rally coming, but we do have to move down first. 8 hours still got loads of progression to the downside, so does the 12. The 16 hours are really high as well. The 20 hours quite high, and the daily has still got room to go down. So all in all, not looking great. And so with the weekly, it's about midway through, so can go either way. Essentially here, it does look like we have on the smaller time frames a little bit of a move to the downside to complete some of these areas, and then looks like there is potential to break outside of this initial supply zone and maybe move a little bit higher. And if we zoom out far enough, we could actually argue that this would make a nice macro kind of movement here like this, right, over time, and all of which we can then start to talk about, you know, what this might look like slightly longer term and all of that kind of stuff. Now, obviously on those larger time frames, as I said, with that weekly time frame not looking overly brilliant, it is an indication of our bigger macro movements towards our 26-cent target. So just keeping those things in mind, that those are still true possibilities, and that I do expect further downside on a macro scale. So we aren't there yet, but you know, things like this do take time to play out. So just kind of keep that in mind. There is still a lot of progression to the downside, and it is not as all rosy as people like to think. Here you can see a trend line where we're being consistently rejected. So if we do move back up and we try to find you know, some kind of rally here, chances are we're going to find the heavy resistances all around this trend line as well. So we are definitely trending to the downside. Now, if I throw the EMAs on, you can see that we're below the 200 EMA, the 100 EMA also, and this is, I think, is the 50. Let me just check it. Yeah, 50 EMA, so we're below all of them, and you can see here we got rejected on the 50 EMA most recently, along with our trend line. So there's not a lot of positivity here on those macro timeframes to be overly too optimistic about it, and I do expect further downside for XRP overall. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind, that the smaller time frames definitely have some kind of small movements to the upside. You know, there's some fantastic gains to be made in that if you are actively trading the space. But essentially, the move to the downside is something that we should all be aware of and should be very cautious with when we're placing our trades. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you have found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done out of the way, hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.